But what, because we have the vantage point of both search and YouTube, we are actually seeing that people are doing four things at the same time: searching, scrolling, streaming, and shopping. And not in any sequence.
Once in every 2.5 days, people are shopping for something. In FMCG, be present everywhere. Be present always.
Performance side of marketing can take you to 1 to 100, but it'll never take you to 100 to 1000, right? 100 to 1000 will take you to the things which marketing stands for, right? Building the brand, creating its authenticity, and creating that voice.
You had a sales team, you had a marketing team, and suddenly those boundaries are getting very blurred and very merged. And I'm seeing a lot of brands struggling with this.
Where we're saying consistency, brand, that's the way to think. And if you talk to a brand manager who's 1 year old in the system, the way they think is very different from the way you think, right? Getting the right balance is an emerging situation only.
Hi all, we all know that the customer journey is all new. It's disrupted at both ends. AI disrupting the top end, and then commerce is disrupting the bottom end. Ajay Gupte of Wavemaker, who is the co-host with me. We have Satya Raghavan from Google, and we have Pawan Sada from the house of Abhinandan Lodas, and we know him as Ramki. I'll introduce you as Ramki only. Ramki heads the world panel for Kantar. We have all along seen so far that search was in a specific way. You know, people went to Google, then there was sometimes there were some comparison websites, sometimes they went to certain brands when they were sure what they want. And now that is suddenly changing dramatically with the onset of AI. So we'll straight away ask Satya for his views in terms of how is the whole search part of customers, how is it changing now?
Thanks for that, Shripad, and thanks for having me here. I think the first thing I want to say right on the outset is that actually search is growing. But people are now actually engaging with search with much longer search queries.
Okay.
They're also having much more complicated search queries. They're also having conversations with Google search, right? That's what our products, AI overviews and AI mode, are enabling. But now search has become multimodal, which means that people are uploading a picture and then searching for that thing. So you might see something that you like, a watch or a dress that you like. So people are actually capturing that on an image and putting that up. And because of AI, because of the fact that now you can have a conversation back with the person who is searching, what we're actually seeing is that people are going deeper into that search behavior. So a much more valuable consumer is emerging at the end of the funnel. And that is just search. But because we have the vantage point of both search and YouTube, we are actually seeing that people are doing four things at the same time: searching, scrolling, streaming, and shopping. And not in any sequence. I mean, we all grew up with that classic marketing funnel कि पहले ad दिखाएंगे, फिर consideration होएगा, फिर there will be awareness, consideration, desire, intent, purchase. But so people are actually searching in much more interesting manners at this point of time. And we don't yet have ads in that AI overviews, but that is forthcoming very soon.
Yeah.
So when ads come there, we'll not just show ads, but we'll also show ads to a much more valuable consumer. So it's actually at a very interesting place.
Paul, you want to add something in terms of your experience, how you have seen this entire journey, from your retail days to e-commerce days?
Yeah. I kind of agree with Satya. Firstly, I think all of us are learning, all of us are exploring. Yes, it's hitting us hard, and there is a shift in the way consumers are exploring. And today, I think AI is just giving you something so precise in terms of knowing you, and therefore giving you that particular solution. Earlier, I think we were obsessed with just building content in the world of Google, but I think it needs to be built everywhere. As I think he rightly mentioned, that there is no sequence in the way the consumer are exploring. Therefore, it's very, very important that you need to be where the customers are. Authentic content is extremely important. Building brand is extremely important. I think that's what will bring you that credibility. So as I said, we all are learning at this point in time, but it's a very interesting times for us.
If you were to for a while look at what is the journey looking like? It could start from the classical search, then it could well start from a video. For sure, there is, the retail media is where it could start and end. So
Yes.
through social also, there are so many things happening. And when I say social, there are influencers, there is groups, there is brands talking to you. For these different starting points of search, what are the interventions as a channel planner to really have at your disposal, and how do you juggle them?
I think we are in extremely interesting times. The discovery and the access to what you need, what you want, the speed of that and the vastness of it, I think has dramatically altered the way consumers go out and purchase. So, like Satya was saying, there is no concept of a funnel. It could be you see you see an influencer on YouTube or on whatever, on Insta, and you press purchase and you buy. I mean, what funnel? What's happening? It's just going crazy. I think to be able to really harness this development, again, data comes into play massively. If we are able to understand behavior and therefore predict purchase intent accurately, I think chasing the consumer will become easier. So things are going to change dramatically. Data is going to play a massive role, and it's all about understanding purchase intent through current behavior, predicting purchase intent through current behavior, and therefore targeting the consumer. And the platform doesn't matter really. Catching the consumer wherever he is, I think, is going to become extremely important. I had one important question for Ramki actually, because the way quick commerce has taken off, Ramki, it's just mad, right? I mean, people are buying gold, they're buying iPhones, they're buying carrots, they're buying every damn thing on quick commerce, and it's getting delivered in 8 minutes. How has this impacted the general trade, and at least in the metros?
Yeah, glad that you asked this question. I think for the general trade, at least in India, where we are talking about a 90% general trade situation, obituaries have been written multiple times. Okay, when modern trade came into India 25 years back, they said general trade is dead.
Yeah.
E-commerce came into India, they said general trade is dead. Now again, when quick commerce has come, they're saying general trade is dead. So there's no such thing that is happening. The general trade is thriving as much. What we need to be clear about is that quick commerce exists, booming, all of that is true, but there's no single household which can say I'm 100% quick commerce or 100% e-commerce. All households are multi-channel households. So it is going to be a multi-channel, omni-channel presence, which makes the consumer, which provides the consumer the choice of buying whatever he or she wants to buy at whichever channel he wants, whenever he wants. So there's convenience at some points of time which pushes them to quick commerce. There is familiarity with the neighborhood grocer, which makes him go to that person. And there are trips, which also helps in terms of the modern trade. So I think it's going to be a combination of all of these. One is not writing the obituary of the other.
I think India also has a huge amount of cultural nuance. Shopping and marketing is a big part of the household chore.
Yeah.
When I go to smaller town, I still see women dressing up and going. It's an occasion. I don't think anybody can take that away from a woman.
You all restricted yourself to the search on the medium that you have, which is the phone or the laptop or whatever. There is a search offline as well.
Right.
There is something called as the
Absolutely.
shop display, which is
Yes,
there everywhere,
yes,
which might
absolutely.
probably instigate you to get into into your phone and pick up
Right.
that search
Yeah.
word.
Right.
It's not just going to be what you do on Google or what you do from social commerce, but it's from the real commerce as well.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I think quick commerce is nothing new, frankly speaking. When I was growing up, I was the quick commerce of the
Yes.
house, right? Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, when Star Trek is about to start, my father will tell me to go and get bread. And it would come in 5 minutes, because that was me then being able to run and come back. Growing up, I think telephone commerce already existed for the longest time. We would all our lives call up Savla General Stores. And Savla General Stores actually has voice recognition inbuilt. You know that? He knew exactly who you were just by your call.
Absolutely.
There was no telephone recognition and
Yeah.
all of that. So he knew exactly who you are. That already existed, and Savla Stores would send somebody in, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the quantity. I think what has now happened is obviously, digitization of quick commerce. it's actually given more surfaces for people to advertise. So Google actually has programmatic inventory on quick commerce sites, which can also then help advertisers surface the right kind of product. It's actually creating a very interesting three-way engagement, right? Brands are advertising for their product on quick commerce sites using programmatic means. So it's also created a new model as such. So I think it'll keep evolving, and I think it's fantastic for the consumer.
So just a question for you. Do you see a pattern or a difference between, let's say, a metros and the India 2 in that sense, or is it exploring and
See,
happening?
at the
in
moment, it's
same
9
way?
cities, quick commerce. So it is
Right.
definitely going to be only those 9 cities for which you have any data at all on
Right,
quick
right,
commerce,
right.
right? So we need to see how it
Yeah.
behaves when it goes any further. But in these 9 cities as well, if you take it, then with the penetration, which is usage at least once a year of quick commerce, is still in the 30s. It's not
Right.
hundreds.
Yes.
So there's another 70% of the households who have not touched quick commerce.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And we are talking urban metros, right?
Right.
So it's quite some time to go. That's one. And second, the quick commerce has to prove itself in terms of its economic viability. Right? I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of excitement and
Yes.
sexiness around it at this point of time.
Yes.
Like you were saying, it's
yes.
first time in the world that somebody is doing a 7-minute
Yes.
delivery at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Very nice to do. Does it work? Do those dark stores, can they thrive? Is something that remains to be seen before we
Yes.
see it thriving and proliferating across the length and breadth of this country.
Yes. Agreed fully.
It's a web actually. Like you guys were saying, everything seems to be linked to everything else. A display unit in a shop can lead to a search. A print ad can lead to a search. A search can lead to a display, to a shop visit. It's just a web, and the consumers are flirting past it really fast. Ramki, I had one more question for you, out of interest. There are a lot of these small brands, mushrooming in pockets on especially on social commerce, and catering to maybe a small area or a very niche requirement, and they're all selling. I mean, they're all getting into some form of sale. And this is brands in cosmetics, in fashion, in all various kinds of things, in food. How is this dynamic affecting the legacy brands?
We've had regional or absolutely hyper-local brands. I mean, like we spoke about dosa atta.
Yes.
So there's probably an ID which is a little more national, but there are a whole lot of, there's a Matunga brand,
Yeah.
which is only Matunga and
Yeah.
around that. There's a Chembur brand, stuff like that. So there are this age of local brands is not something new. There was a big, what shall I say, high-nosed kind of attitude for the national brand saying, I'm here,
Yes.
and this is a local brand. A local is not bad.
Yeah.
Local is currently, in terms of, if you look in terms of parity, they're equal or even better.
Yeah.
Right? Packaging is fabulous because it's parity everywhere.
Yeah.
You can source the best of packaging, go to
Yeah.
Google, they'll help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Right? You can source the best of ingredients,
Yeah.
you can source the best of manufacturing materials. You can make 5 kilos,
Yeah.
Correct.
right? In the best of factories. So anybody can make anything. Next comes the question of how do I market this well? Anybody is able to access an influencer. This is the age of parity, and it's Google and the others have democratized
Yeah.
access to ingredients, information, packaging, influencers, and all of those
Everything.
together.
Everything.
Having said that, so there's always going to be a coexistence, so
Yeah.
to speak, of the regional as well as the national brand. It's going to be a happy coexistence of both. And there are times when regional brands will thump, and there are times when national brands will come back and bounce.
Yeah.
I think both, what he's saying is both distribution and discovery
Yeah.
have got elegant and better solutions at
Correct.
this point
Yeah,
of time.
yeah.
So how do you see the behavior of households? How has it changed
Yeah.
with this entire thing? What have you observed as a change the behavior?
It just made us lazy.
No, to me, the biggest change, lazy, absolutely, yes, but happily lazy.
Yeah.
The biggest change that I see is from a household basket, we are moving to a household plus my basket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So earlier it was just the household basket, right? Day one to, or let's say conventional times when salaries used to be on the first of the month, 1st to 7th, the household basket was bought and that's it.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, there's a top up. 1 top up, 2 top up. So
A week
therefore,
wise.
this whole importance of, I remember media planning along with Ajay Gupte when we said purchase cycle, we need to be
Yes.
worried about
That was very
Present.
important to us.
what is purchase cycle?
Yeah.
What is purchase cycle?
It's
What is
just,
salary? You know, so that there's a wave over there right through. So from a household basket, it's moved to individual basket because I buy a bunch of things for the home. I buy
Yeah.
some Ashirwad atta. Atta. I'm buying some atta. I'm buying some toothpaste, some shampoo, all of those things. But I have a bunch of things which I want from myself. I want my snack.
Yeah.
I want my deo. I want, let's say, I want my moisturizer, all of those things. So those are becoming separate. So that's the big change, household to individual.
Yeah.
So this concept of extreme focus on the housewife is kind of melting away to say that, okay, it's not just the housewife. There are a whole lot of others in the same household which are buying household products. The multiplicity of brands entering a household is higher than ever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just to give you a statistic, the average number of soap brands that enter a household, in a year, soap brands, is 8.5 all India.
Wow.
So this is something which you buy every month, right? So 8.5 brands. So this is the highest ever that we are seeing in terms of the number of brands that are. So the proliferation clearly exists. So household to individual, therefore multiple choices, therefore multiple brands.
I had a follow-up question to that. Are we also spending more? Are we able to quantify that?
Yeah, it's more or less in line with inflation only. So to that extent, there is something which gives and something which takes. So that something which gives could be a local brand, could be unbranded in some cases. I mean, we are currently at a stage when branded goods are slowly growing and growing and growing, but there is still a significant portion of unbranded in many categories. Atta being one, tea being one, oils being one. There is a lot of unbranded. So suddenly there are situations when hyperinflation, all prices are going up, unbranded makes a move. Then inflation eases off, then it comes back. So those kind of things do happen. So the overall spend is not growing beyond inflation. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Again, coming from retail, as a marketer, we were obsessed with, the monthly list of a housewife. I think it's just gone away. It's like
it exists. I mean, it's a significant part still,
Yes.
but it's the importance of that has come down. I mean,
Yes.
what would have been 85-90% has now come down to about 55-60%.
Yeah.
And how do you see the quick commerce adding more change in the behavior?
Significant changes. One change that I would definitely see is, one would have thought quick commerce is highly impulsive, and so to that extent, smaller packs and just top-ups kind of thing. But either because of non-availability on that medium or on account of the delivery charge being a factor of the total price, we see bigger packs selling in quick commerce more than in traditional trade. Right? Shampoos, bottles versus sachets, bottles in quick commerce, sachets in general trade. Similarly, if you buy oils, 1.5 kg packs versus a 200 ml packs in. So therefore, bigger packs. Second, more premium. Clearly, if you take the percentage of premium brands that sell, when I say premium, if you take an average price of a category, if it is about like 15% over the average, then we call it premium. Anything over. So therefore, percentage of premium brands in quick commerce higher than what it is in general trade. So that change is definitely being seen because of quick commerce. The third part is that the quick commerce has kind of to a big extent been able to add to that top-up part of it. The planned consistent purchase still exists, whether it is done from a Savla store or whether it is done from a big basket or whatever, that still exists. But the top-ups are in many cases the quick commerce platforms are definitely getting in there. I'm talking specifically about FMCG.
Yeah. But I'm assuming the basket size would have reduced, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So another interesting statistic is the number of shopping trips people make.
Yeah.
Right? Shopping trip, when I say shopping trip, don't confuse with a physical trip to a store. When you open an app, that's a shopping trip. So over, let's say 2018 to now, the number of shopping trips across FMCG, if you see, has gone up something like 12 trips more.
Wow.
Over this much of period. So if 12 trips are more, practically what we're saying is once in every 2.5 days, people are shopping for something in FMCG itself.
Yeah.
So that once in 2.5 days means then you please get back to the situation of where we are saying when should I be present, where should I be present. The question is be present everywhere.
Yeah.
Be present always. So always on this necessitates it, right? Because I'm not going to be able to think back, I saw this ad for the shampoo and I'll remember that and go and buy 15 days later, is not happening. So that's why
that's not gonna.
And given the fact, Ramki, that you said that spending has actually only grown in line with inflation, it means that there's not more money coming to the market, it's just your money getting split.
Absolutely.
So you have to fight harder to pick your bone.
Yeah. So your money getting split across channels, your money getting split across brands versus regional versus
Yeah.
unbranded. So all that
It's
is the
not
same.
making a shop more for sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
And
I
only
just
Ajay Gupta's life has become complicated because his media plan
Yeah.
earlier had only 10 line items.
Yeah.
And now his media plan probably has some 25 line items.
yes.
Yeah, no, I think I love your insights about the 8.5 soaps and the 12 trips.
Yeah.
Really fascinating.
Yeah.
Satya, a lot of discovery is now happening on quick commerce, and I think one they have the pay button which you can actually brand, and I know a lot of brands doing those kind of things. How have you seen the play between discovery on conventional search versus discovery that is happening on these commerce sites, and how is this whole thing playing about?
Absolutely right. And if you look at from again a Google and YouTube vantage point, right, we are a publisher in that sense because we have these two surfaces, but we are also a ad stack, right, which can help a customer. So while we obviously use the ad stack on our platforms, we are also using our ad stack to help customers get discovered on any kind of third party platform like these quick commerce sites, right? And that's where I think the earlier we were talking about how we'll have to be everywhere. The marketer will have to be everywhere. So I think while it is now super important to understand consumer behavior through your purchase panel and a bunch of other things like that, there are two bookends that every marketer should think of placing on their marketing plan, right? The first bookend is what you said, Ajay Gupta, data, but more specifically first party data. How can you use AI data analytics to actually empower yourself to understand first party data better, to discover lookalike audiences wherever they are, right? That's one bookend you need to do where AI is important. The other bookend is actually at the creative deployment phase, where earlier the good old paradigm was 30 seconders. I remember interacting with you saying that we need to make a 5 seconder, we need to make a 15 seconder when you were managing my account at Pillsbury years ago. But now it is literally you need to come up with the right creative for the right person at the right moment with the right message in the right language
And right duration.
in the right duration, right?
Pawan, we've not come to you in your marketing space. How has the world changed? What are the key things that you have seen changing?
Yeah, so I think again, a couple of, I mean, at least 15 years back, marketing life was very comfortable. Do some 4 5 campaigns in a year, not be part of the business, just see things. Otherwise, act very intellectual. To I think it's completely changed because I think your skin is in the game from a business perspective because the way consumers are behaving and the kind of things which are happening at this point in time. I think marketing would have never got so much of importance from a sheer business perspective because now you're no longer just about building brands at a very very top level, but you're also being part of the consumer moment. I think all of us, we spoke about it. I think that's a big shift. Firstly, I think what is marketing skin in the game. I think that's kind of built in here. The second point which I want to make is that the marketeers have also got very obsessed with the whole performance and business side of things, right? I feel that's scary. I can understand from a spending money and budgets perspective. Everybody would like to see return and so on, and that's kind of a larger level, board discussion also which happens. But brand building is going nowhere. So I personally believe, and I always say this, that when businesses come, a performance side of marketing or a business side of things can take you to 1 to 100, but it will never take you to 100 to 1000, right? 100 to 1000 will take you to the things which marketing stands for, right? Building the brand, creating its authenticity, and creating that voice. If you don't do it, my belief is that from 100 to 1000 it's an impossible journey, right? That's where I feel that many brands, they kind of struggle. They are so performance oriented, वो 1 से 100 में ही रह जाते हैं. वो 100 से 1000 की जर्नी उनको ब्रांड बनाना ही पड़ेगा, and that's my belief.
And the other thing I have noticed, Pawan, is a very interesting thing you said, is that when a brand chases performance, it's like catching a tiger's tail. You're just
Absolutely.
stuck there. You leave the tail, your sales drop.
Absolutely.
sustained growth and sustained, consumer attraction.
Sorry to interrupt, but Google and Facebook of the world will never tell you, like, what's the right thing, right? Because you're constantly struggling. So you're constantly trying to figure out that, what's the right thing. But by the time you think you've figured out, something happens, right? So that's another big challenge for us. Sorry.
So this person from Google is going to tell you, you have to build your brand.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
In fact,
You
see,
have
I
to
mean,
build your
and the
brand.
product that you're selling, right? It's
Yeah.
actually almost a service, I believe.
Right.
It's like, so differentiated. You're
Right.
actually not selling a 100 square feet, you're
Right.
selling an experience, right? At
Yes,
the end of the
absolutely.
day. You need to build your brand. You need
Yes.
to have your YouTube
Completely,
channel. You need to
completely.
have, a lot of different ways to tell your story.
Completely.
I just want to add here, I'm glad you brought up that 0 to 100, 100 to 1000 point. To
Yes.
150 crores, they're comfortable being B2C,
Yes.
comfortable being completely online. I mean, the brand has purely been built on performance thus far.
Yeah.
And then they're saying, I need to start building, and that becomes a little bit of a mind shift for the brands at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm saying what you said is absolutely right, which is that 0 to 100, there will be a chief revenue officer who will get you
Absolutely.
there. Right? From there, to go to the next 100 or 150, you need a chief brand officer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That's very well said. So, if you were to look at now the scenario, okay, then you have on the one hand you have that there is the personal brand, and what I want I buy, that is one, which happens, let's say, mostly majorly online. Let's put it that way. Then you have certain things that you buy offline, and a lot of things you buy online. Then you have what you're buying online. You have further occasion-led, top up, or you have my regular purchase, or I happen to see a social media influencer and whatever. Now this whole gamut, if you have to manage, right? And what is the starting point? Where do you start?
मैं थोड़ा और complicate करूँ आपका gamut को? Because
interesting.
you started with the you pointed at one person, but in reality, right, it's not one person. There are houses in Bombay, in Andheri, where 5 generations are staying together in that same
Yes.
house, right?
Yes.
Boomer, Millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, and from January 2025 onwards, one new creature has started to be born, Gen Beta. वो भी शुरू हो गया, right? So there's all of those consumers, and every one of them has a different context and mindset, right?
Correct.
Ads for a Gen Alpha, I have like a Gen Alpha at home, very different meaning,
Yes,
right?
yes,
They're more
yes.
content. So I think just complicating that, it's not
Further.
one person,
Yes.
it's many types of people. So it's a crazy
Sure.
grid you've
Yes.
created.
Yes. So, how does one bring the whole thing together in some way under one architecture of sorts?
I think your question first was where do you start, right?
Yeah.
I would still start with the conventional way of saying, who is your consumer?
Yeah.
Please go be with
Yeah.
that consumer.
Yes.
The others are add-ons, right?
Okay.
Be loyal to your consumer, be true to your consumer in terms of whatever you do. You packaging for that individual. If you're creating your brand, it is around that individual. If you're communicating, it's around that individual. If you're media planning, it's around that individual. Incidentally, we'll get the others. I'm not saying it is simple. It's the toughest thing to do, and the highest level of resistance to temptation has to be there. But if you start with the consumer and stick true to the consumer that your brand wants to address, it is in a way simpler than the others.
And I agree, right? Your bullseye consumer, right? Again, classic early 2000 way of catching your consumer. But the opportunity, right, where that one app is being used by 4 people, and the payment device is already linked, so it's no friction,
Yeah.
right? The opportunity to tap into those people is actually just too good to be
Ignored.
left on the table,
Yeah,
right? In
yeah,
that sense,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the clever marketers do that,
Yeah.
like a chips company.
Right.
Potato chips, right? Potato chips is so universal at this point of time. All of these 5 entities can actually consume it,
Right.
right? So if you just leave it to one person and target one person and leave it for them to purchase it,
Yeah.
maybe you're losing some latent sale. Yeah.
So, but from a brand design perspective, I would still
The bullseye consumer,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, but the bullseye consumer is 6 different segments. Meaning it is not one segment. You know, it is 6 segments, and they are available to me on at least 6 different channels, stroke occasions. So I'm saying, suppose I have something like 60 cells to fill up. Okay, let's say 6 audience segments, and I have 10 minimum channels where I can put money on.
Yes.
Now, how do I start and how do I bring all this on one framework? No, so I'm saying, which is where the whole juggling is half the time it's like, you know, hand on heart, okay, because you really don't have data for all that. Let's face it. In practice, the brand, and forget the legacy huge brands, typical middle segment brands, they just don't have all their data at one place. They do not have all data. They do not have enough research. They have various kinds of directions to give you. Half the time they don't know what they want in life, and then you have this grid staring at you. You know, I always feel that as a channel planner, whatever you see channels all around you.
Yeah.
They are floating around you, and you have money. You say, "Isko pakado, isko roko, isko pakado, isko roko." And then you then juggle with them.
Yeah.
You know?
I think life stage of the brand is important, right? You
Life
talked about
stage.
0 to 100.
Yeah.
Things change between 100 to 1000 and thereafter.
Correct.
After 1000, then, you know, profitability becomes even more important for you because you want to IPO.
Absolutely.
So dynamics
Absolutely.
change there, right?
Correct.
Here you're acquiring
So I think
consumers.
that's probably the first kind of level of look at it. What stage is the brand?
Is the brand.
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
accordingly, you get your directions and
Yeah.
priorities first level. That's the first, I would say. And what would do the next? After that, what would you look at after that?
So I think starting point should always be the consumer. Yeah. You know,
Okay.
who is it that you want to target? Who's your low hanging fruit? Who is the one you want to go after? And then you decide what you want to build around it. I think that basic principle will not change.
So one by one, most important first, most channels for that person. Next important, next for that channel. Next for that channel.
I don't think there's any brand that's going to have adequate budgets to satisfy
Yeah.
every set anyway.
Yeah,
It's
not
always going to be a prioritization. So you decide whom you want to go after first, and then the
Yeah.
collaterals come into place.
Yeah.
And also, it's not that the budget required is any less for each of these. I mean, you are at suboptimal level for quite a few
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you have to live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Ajay used a word about low-hanging fruit. right?
Low-hanging
So
fruit.
you have,
Correct.
because usually the bullseye consumer is not easily the low-hanging fruit, but you still go after that person.
Yeah.
And then after you think that you've done fair justice to that individual is when you
Then
start
go to the
spreading.
next.
Yeah.
Next low-hanging fruit. That's when you start looking at yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen content actually work very hard. Because some of the content driven stuff that you can create actually stays and lingers for much longer than that one impression that you create using a 30-second ad, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps when you build your media plan, you buy a masthead or you buy a front page or you take now in Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahuti again, right? You can, while it can help you in that, but how do you make your media plan and media strategy work harder? Because again, money is finite. So content is emerging as a hard-working, medium.
I see it slightly differently. I mean, we're still talking about, let's say, a large brand and so on. But I think the times are so interesting that, I think it's a democratization of everything, right?
Huge
Yeah.
democratization.
If you have an idea.
He said that. Everything.
Yeah.
I know, but in more senses than one tends to see that as a lowest hanging fruit first. Because that's where audience is, and that's when they are buying. So whether you are a 0 to 100 or 100 onwards, you first want to grab that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, commerce media is where the market is also, You can't straight yourself first do brand building, then do commerce media.
Sure,
see?
yeah.
So in almost all the prioritizations, the commerce media always comes first, and you whoever you are, you have to first be adequately present and cover that almost as a low hanging fruit. Isn't that is what we have?
So actually, in some fashion, no, it's a trap.
Yeah. I think that's the right word.
You spend 100, you get 10. You spend 90, you get 9. and that 10 doesn't increase. So they keep spending 100 and keep getting 10. And they're worried that if they take out 40 from that and put it into brand building, their 60 will go to 6, right? I mean, the spend go to 60 and therefore the sales go to 6. That is the biggest challenge there. And to be able to break out of this trap and say, okay, fine. I mean, I brought my customer to here. Maybe I'll take a hit for a couple of months, but I'll start investing in brand and then my trajectory will change. I think is the big mindset shift that these digital first brands need.
And the other thing is that if you really have to do full justice and do a full scale proper channel planning and allocation of your budgets, then you need some level of commitment in terms of research, in terms of data, in terms of investment, in terms of mindset. And unless you have all that, you don't really go to the next level of optimizing your overall spends.
Yeah.
And that is the first block that I have seen that brands really have to.
Yeah, but I think just an opportunity there is how do you create the better marketer for the future? What skills and what upskilling needs to happen now to deal with an even more complex era that is forthcoming? I think that is just a now a problem that all brands. I'm sure you think about that all the time.
All are grappling, right?
Yes, yeah.
There's one very interesting dilemma in my head, and I've been seeing a lot of brands face it. Is how do you demarcate between marketing and sales, right? So what we conventionally had, you had a sales team and you had a marketing team, and suddenly those boundaries are getting very blurred and very merged. And I'm seeing a lot of brands struggling with this. The retail store offers so many opportunities. So is it sales or is it marketing? I think that is a big dilemma that brands are facing. And I think cracking that or finding a way to make sure that it is seamless, because it's collapsed, right? The gaps have collapsed. There's no, I'll build my brand and I'll start selling. I'm building my brand while I'm selling. So how do marketers actually get the twain together and make it work? I think the big challenge that a lot of marketers will need to crack going forward. And that's just building on your point, Satya, on how do you train the future marketer. I think this is an important thing that we need to really decipher.
I'm a marketer, but my focus is on the trade. Whether the trade is general trade or e-com or whatever. So the trade marketing as a concept is definitely something that is emerging, and that is probably much more ROI driven than otherwise. So all what we call as performance in the digital sense is performance in the physical sense is that trade marketing kind of individual. That said, the trade marketer. What should be the trade market? Who should be the trade marketer is a question that people are still grappling with an answer. Should it be a brand trained person does that make a better trade marketer, or a sales trained person does that make a better trade marketer? I think some companies are handling through rotation, but they're not cracked who exactly that is. But that is a very important question that you asked, which is to say, what happens there? I mean, what in these boundaries? These boundaries will disappear even further. I mean, as we go on, right? So then what happens?
Yeah. If you just spend a few minutes on what do you see, what is going to happen in 2 years? How is this whole thing going to pan out?
I think I would love to take the example of let's say Mondelez. They did about 2 or 3 years ago, which is to actually use AI in the creatives. Also use much more precise targeting, better targeting, multiple creatives. And what they also did behind the scenes using data analytics, probably 1 or 2 advertisers like that, right? At this point of time, there are about 100 of those advertisers who are doing it in some way or the other. Everyone is going to have the tools at their disposal. Everyone is going to have, distribution sorted, discovery sorted, and all of that. And I think then there will be true competition. But 2 years out, I feel it's going to be not 8.5 soaps, but perhaps 16 soaps trying to grapple for 1 person or 3 people's attention in the same house. What then becomes the edge for you to win? My bet is still on creative. My bet is still on storytelling. that that is the one that will actually help you, because that drives communication fundamentally.
Absolutely.
Technology will get leveled after a point of time. There'll obviously be new technologies that will come and all of that, a lot of innovation will happen. But I think 2 or 3 years out, the folks who are, and what you said, that who understand how to build a brand,
Yeah.
they will actually again be the heroes.
I think again, I think the brand management is going to become sexy again, and I truly believe in that.
You have any take?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 2 years is an easy answer because quick commerce is still 9 cities, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to take quite a while, but then they prove their viability and then it becomes national. So 2 years is not that difficult. What I'm trying to say is that in India, from the general trade's prevalence is not going to disappear in 2 years for sure. So that general trade is going to continue to be what it is. So from that perspective, the equal importance of the offline visibility is going to be as much required as the online visibility. That is one thing for sure. The second thing that is going to emerge is this, the point that Ajay alluded to, which is about the cusp between the sales-oriented and brand-oriented people. How does that actually emerge? And there's really no one to teach them. We are on the one extreme side where we're saying consistency, brand, that's the way to think. And if you talk to a brand manager who's 1 year old in the system, the way they think is very different from the way you think, right? Getting the right balance, and that definitely cannot happen in 2 years for sure. That also is an emerging situation. And the most definite thing that one can say about the 2 years will happen is the continual depletion of the monthly list. Number one, continual depletion of the household purchase. Household to individual is something that is going to only get worse or better. And of course, all said and done, 2 years, 20 years, whatever it is, data is going to be all important in everything. So the bookends that he spoke about, absolutely. And I completely vouch for what you said as well, which is in terms of creative being the cornerstone.
And today I think AI is just giving you something so precise in terms of knowing you, and therefore giving you that particular solution. I personally feel, as a marketer, content is never been so important. I think that's something which we need to build. Earlier, I think we were obsessed with just building content in the world of Google, but I think it needs to be built everywhere. As I think he rightly mentioned, that there is no sequence in the way the consumer are exploring. Therefore, it's very, very important that you need to be where the customers are. And as I said, we all are learning at this point in time. But for me, I think just making sure that you have enough and more credibility in the entire ecosystem from a brand perspective, and how are you capturing the moments, what are you giving as a solution. And of course, I very, very strongly feel that authentic content is extremely important. It's really not about saying that just build a content for the sake of it. Your voice, your authenticity. In this world, I also feel that building brand is extremely important. I think that's what will bring you that credibility. That's what will bring you, because even the system looks for authenticity and credibility, right? So as I said, we all are learning at this point in time, but it's a very interesting times for us.
In creative itself, I would seem to think that if there is I mean, it's like an oxymoron. I'm saying creative flexibility, right? I mean, creative is supposed to be consistent, but creative flexibility from 5 seconds to 50 seconds, right? Addressing the millennial to the whatever, that level of flexibility, creative, that is going to be a talent that is going to be hot shot if you're able to find it.
On the lines of what everyone is saying, I believe a lot of experimentation is happening right now. So, and I think that's extremely important. If you don't put away some money to experiment, you will not learn, because I cannot learn from your mistakes. Only you are learning from your mistakes. So I don't have even any sight on what you're making. Unlike my old days where I knew exactly who's putting how much money on Z and Star. I have no clue today, right? So again, I agree. Data, creative, and customization, I think, are the three absolute pillars beyond which it will all work within this framework. And I think that's what everyone is also saying.
Okay, so what we have seen is we have gone through the full gamut of how the household buying behavior is changing. We have looked at how the entire discoverability and how quick commerce, how it has affected the complete customers' various journeys. How we have so many more options. But what we are saying is that the fundamentals,
Yeah.
when whole dust dies down, the fundamentals are going to still remain the same.
Remain the same.
And you will have to be good at those fundamentals in a new
Absolutely.
milieu, new environment, maybe with a new sales and marketing cohesive team and that kind of thing.
And new opportunities.
And new opportunities. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. I think
Thank
it
you.
was very interesting.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.